All right, so the Labour Party leader, Keir Starmer, has officially been appointed as United Kingdom's new Prime Minister. The appointment follows shortly after the party registered a landslide victory in the 4th of July elections. Just moments ago, Keir Starmer was in fact at the Buckingham Palace, and according to protocol, King Charles formally appointed him as the next Prime Minister. Now, so far, the results for 648 of the 650 seats have been declared. Labour has managed to win 412 seats. The Conservatives have managed to salvage about 121 seats. The Liberal Democrats have managed to win 71 seats. The Scottish Nationalist Party has taken 9 seats. The Sinn Féin has won 7 seats. Now, speaking in central London, Keir Starmer, who's said to be the new Prime Minister, said that change begins now. And it feels good, I have to be honest, is what he told a cheering crowd.
You campaigned for it, you fought for it, you voted for it, and now it has arrived. Change begins now.
Now, the Conservative Party has conceded defeat. In a fairly short speech, the outgoing Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said, and I quote him here, "Labour has won this election." He said that he had called Starmer to congratulate him on his victory.
That is something that should give us all confidence in our country's stability and future. The British people have delivered a sobering verdict tonight. There is much to learn and reflect on, and I take responsibility for the loss. To the many good, hard-working Conservative candidates who lost tonight, despite their tireless efforts.
Now, Rishi Sunak conceded defeat. However, he's managed to retain his Richmond and North Allerton seat. He's also resigned as the leader of the Tory party following this monumental defeat. Meanwhile, Labour's victory has also received some pretty mixed reviews. Some people in London say that they are excited about the Labour Party winning the general elections, but others do not expect any major changes on the ground in Britain.
Yeah, excited for something needs to happen, I think. I think the country needs it. It's not the same, you know, I was a child in '97. I don't think it's quite that kind of spirit, but I'm hopeful the new government will come in with some plans.
So that, of course, is what some of the people in Britain are saying. And to tell us more in terms of what is, of course, expected to happen as the new government is formed in Britain, we're being joined by our correspondent Oliver Regan, who's joining us live from London. Oliver, this is a huge victory for Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party. And in his address after winning the elections, he said that change begins now. But this is not going to be an easy job that he's got, because looking at the condition of the British economy and the many challenges that the British nation at this moment faces, what is expected of Keir Starmer from here on?
Yeah, well, I think that was reflected in Sir Keir Starmer's speech. It was a speech where you could sense he was absolutely elated with victory, but it was also delivered with a sense of realism, that the country does face enormous challenges, that the economy is in a tough place after COVID, after the Ukraine war, and of course still recovering from the financial crash back in 2008. And Sir Keir Starmer has not promised the electorate any immediate changes. He's just simply saying that for the time being, he's going to govern the country in a more serious way. He's going to return the country and the government to the service of British people. And he appealed directly both to his own supporters, who were packed out down Downing Street waving flags of the Great British flag, the Welsh flag, the Scottish flag, the English flag. He was appealing to those people, but he also made a direct appeal to those people, those millions of people in this country who didn't vote for the Labour Party. And he said that he would serve in their interests as well. But make no bones about it, it is a tough job for the Labour Party. There is very limited amounts they can do in terms of spending money, because the public finances are at such a stretched level. And I think that Starmer will hope that slowly but surely he can begin to rebuild Britain, but he's not under any illusions that this is going to be an easy or a straightforward task.
That's interesting that you mentioned that he's not under any illusion, but he still keeps insisting that change begins now. Let's also talk a little bit about the outgoing Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. What happens to his political future? He's lost his Prime Minister's job. He's also resigned as the leader of the Tory party, but he's managed to win his seat, so he's back in the Parliament. So what does the future hold for him?
Well, Sunak has been quite consistent, saying that he has no plans to stand down as an MP, and as you mentioned, he did win his seat in the northern part of Yorkshire, in the Richmond area, and that means that he now can be the MP there for another 5 years. But there's been long talk of Rishi Sunak making a jump across to California. He's obviously very enthusiastic about the tech industry, and he's been long interested in potentially playing a part in that. But for the time being, he's going to stay on, whilst he's resigned as Conservative leader, he is going to stay on whilst they choose a new leader, and that's an important step because the Conservatives have suffered a huge defeat. There's going to be a lot of soul searching from that party to potentially be different factions of the party trying to take control, and I think the fact Sunak's willing to stay in position as the leader until a new leadership campaign can take place is a sign that he's eager to make sure that the Conservative Party doesn't descend into chaos given this huge electoral defeat. But as for the longer term future, whether he'll serve the 5 years as MP of Richmond, I somewhat doubt that, but for the time being he is going to stay on as an MP.
And also tell us a little about the new entrants who've made their way into the British Parliament. It is a new Parliament that we're looking at, and the likes of Nigel Farage have managed to come into the British Parliament. How is that likely to pan out?
Well, yes, as you mentioned, there's going to be a whole host of people who've never been MPs before. Nigel Farage has tried 7 times previously to become a member of the House of Commons behind me, but actually he's never managed it until now on his 8th attempt. And he will lead a small group of Reform MPs, but his plan is to cause a complete ruckus in the British Parliament. He plans to create what he's calling a national movement of change, and there's certainly no doubting Nigel Farage's ambition. But elsewhere across the chamber, we've now got 4 Green MPs. That was only 1 in the previous Parliament, so the Greens are going to have an increase. Say the Liberal Democrats, they're up at 71 seats. They were languishing down in the early double digits before. So the smaller parties have had a good election as well. It's been success for Labour, success for the small parties, but also a huge defeat for the Conservatives. So the Parliament's going to be made up of a large number of new MPs, a very different kind of political opinion, and it will take a few months and weeks for that to kind of start taking place.
Absolutely indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Oliver Regan, for joining us and getting us that perspective from Westminster in London there. This of course, is a huge electoral victory for the Labour Party. There is a sense of euphoria that is sweeping across the Labour Party, but unless Keir Starmer can get its act together and walk the talk and bring about some tangible change for the people in Britain, the mood can actually sour very quickly. Let's listen in to what some of the people in Britain have to say about the change of guard that's now taken place at the Westminster.
I think I'm feeling great. It's going to be a fresh new start, and I think we needed that change, and I'm hopeful that we're going to see better days coming up. So I'm very optimistic.
I feel very hopeful. It's the result that my husband and I wanted for our young children. So yeah, I feel very hopeful. I think the fact that people have gone to Reform, and probably I think the Conservative base splitting up, is very, very worrying. It sort of mirrors what's happening elsewhere in Europe. So yeah, I'm hopeful that I think those people, people that have felt like they needed to go in that direction will maybe see a different path to to politics and how we deal with each other as a society over the next few years under the Labour government. But that's my hope.
I was very pleased to see that the Greens got what they wanted. They got 4 seats, and that's what they had aimed for. I was disappointed to see also that Reform got 4 seats, because they're quite a hateful party, I feel. And so that was quite disappointing this morning. But it is the result of press and media sort of fanning the flames of discontent when it comes to migration. But for me, really, this was an election about the environment. So I'm happy on that front.
I just didn't like the Conservatives. Just didn't like Rishi, didn't like the Conservatives. That was it. I think that it was just, didn't really have a choice. It was, most people voted for not Conservatives, I'd say. So it was Labour, Lib Dem or Reform. So people just didn't want to vote for Conservatives.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.